After 20 years of marriage, you can read the signs. Cynthia was busy most of the time. Several times a month, she had to stay late at work. Her interest in her family seemed formal at best. I hoped it was just a phase, a chemical or hormonal process that women go through. After months of hoping, I decided it was time to find out the truth, regardless of the pain it would bring. The agency came highly recommended to me. They were attentive, discreet, and very professional. I met with the manager for an hour and told him my fears and suspicions. I then gave him a sizable amount of money that I had stashed away over the years. I had originally saved the money to take Cynthia on a nice vacation for our 20th anniversary. That was before the nagging doubts. Now, however, I was spending money on detectives who were supposed to keep an eye on Cynthia and report any inappropriate activity to me. By inappropriate, they meant such a wide range of activities. What I really wanted to know was if she was having an affair, and the agency understood that was what I wanted to know. We used euphemisms because it was less embarrassing that way, but we all knew what was what. I'll have to work late tonight, Gil. Feed the girls and don't wait up for me, okay? Cynthia purred, heading for the door. I dipped my spoon into the cereal and then dropped the bomb in her lap. You can make me believe it's work when you do it with me, Cynthia, but I don't think it's work when you stay up late and do it. Or do you get paid for it? I asked quietly. Cynthia froze in place. She stood with her back to me until 10 and then slowly turned around. Her face was unreadable. That would be further proof if I needed it. The innocent woman had to be spinning around me in a frenzy. What are you trying to say, Gil? Are you implying something? She asked. Well, yes. If you work, you should get paid for it. We could buy a new car if you paid. I replied. What exactly do I have to pay for? She objected. It was the old admit nothing until the other guy shows all his cards gambit she'd mastered over the years. I'd played this kind of game a few times before, and it didn't take long for my cards to show. I quite admit that you know everything better than I do, dear. Would you like me to draw up a price list so you know what to take? I replied. I think you can charge $25 for hand jobbing and $100 for standard sex. I've never paid for it. But you have to start somewhere. Do you want to make any changes? Are you out of your mind, Gil? Cynthia snorted. You think I walk the streets of downtown when I'm working late? You need to get help. That was very cruel of you. Are you telling me you're not going to have sex tonight? I asked bluntly. It sure as hell isn't after the way you just talked to me, asshole, Cynthia replied. Not tonight, not in the foreseeable future. That's good to hear, Cynthia. Then you have no reason to come home late, do you? Reasoned I. Since you took the day off, you can get home at a decent hour. I'll make dinner and you can help clean up after yourself. Cynthia just stood there with her mouth open, but not saying a word. Then she turned and walked away. I was just taking the baked chicken out of the oven when Cynthia walked into the kitchen. One look at her told me she had changed her mind. I guess I've been staying late at work a lot lately. You and the girls deserve more attention, Gil, Cynthia admitted. I accept your offer. It smells good. Cynthia was a very attractive 42-year-old woman. Time had only enhanced her curves. She looked great, and when she was in a good mood, gave a lot of pleasure. Such was the first 21 years of our marriage. Only in the last 6 months did she become distant and aloof. Before that, she was a wonderful friend, lover, and companion. That's what made the current situation so difficult. We had a pleasant dinner as a family. As I listened to our 2 daughters talk to their mother, I realized how much she meant to them. They loved their father but shared things with their mother that a man cannot understand. Shopping is like water torture. Talking about shopping is an agony that a man should not have to endure. But the 3 of them managed it all through dinner. When we went to bed, Cynthia went to bed in just her panties. That was always a signal that she was looking for a little love. The thing was, I wasn't even close to being in the mood. I thought you said you weren't going to have sex tonight, I reminded her. As I recall, you said you weren't going to for the foreseeable future either. You were acting so weird this morning. Your comments weren't very kind and I got angry, Cynthia admitted. I thought about it and realized that it was probably frustration on your part. We haven't had time for intimacy in a long time. It's at least partly my fault, Jill. I don't want you to think that I don't love you. So you do love me, Cynthia? I asked. It's been 3 weeks and 2 days since we made love. It didn't seem to bother you. Wow, you've been keeping score. I didn't realize it's been that long, but I'll make it up to you tonight, okay? She smiled. You mean you really love me, Cynthia? Repeated I. Of course I do. You're the only man I've ever loved and will ever love, Cynthia confessed. You know that. Is it reasonable to think that if you love me, you'll be faithful to me to the end? Continued I. Absolutely, sweetheart, she replied. Why are you asking these questions? This morning you assumed I was having sex with someone, and it looks like you're doing it again today. You are absolutely faithful to me, Cynthia. You love being married to me, and you don't want to play the field? I pressed. Yes, but I'm beginning to resent your line of questioning, Cynthia snapped back. You've ruined my mood. That's a damn offense, I growled back. It might put you back in the mood. They're very exciting. I reached under my pillow, pulled out a manila envelope, and tossed it to Cynthia. I saw her hand shake as she took it and poured out the contents. Cynthia gasped, looking at the pictures. They showed herself and Kurt Dugan, a teacher at the local elementary school. The pictures were in color and of excellent quality. She had to admit they were good. Cynthia quickly looked at the pictures and threw them in the wastebasket. Then she began to cry. I wasn't feeling so good either, but my tears had already been shed. I sat up in bed and waited. It took almost 10 minutes, but finally Cynthia stopped sobbing and was able to speak. Gil, it was just a fling. I don't love him. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry, she whispered. You just agreed that if you loved me, you would be faithful to me. And now you're telling me you can have fun and still love me. I'm having a little trouble understanding your logic, Cynthia, I admitted. And what is it? I lied to keep you from getting hurt. The sex was just sex. No love, no real connection. It was a biological function. That's all it was, she reasoned. You mean shitting on me is a biological function? And I shouldn't take it personally? Gil, please think before you do rash things, Cynthia pleaded. I could lose my job. Kurt could lose his job and his marriage. His parents are our neighbors. All sorts of terrible things could happen. Did you just realize that, Cynthia? Or did you expect all those things to happen when you got caught? I demanded. Whose fault will it be if you and Kurt are both fired, both divorced, and both dishonored in front of your families? Whose fault is it, Cynthia? Yours. Kurt's and mine, really, Cynthia sobbed. No one would blame you. Was the sex really that good? That much better than with me? If it wasn't love, was it about great sex? I suggested. It wasn't better, Gil. It was just like when we first met. It was a turn on. He's not better than you, just different. I'll tell him I'll never see him again, okay? Pleaded Cynthia. What the hell do you take me for? It would be damn selfish to come between you and great sex, wouldn't it? I've had a couple weeks to think about this situation, and I've come up with a solution, I replied. My God, you've known about this for a couple weeks? You never made yourself known. I had no idea, Cynthia wailed. Actually, I suspected longer than that. I shut you off for 3 weeks and 2 days. Unfortunately, you didn't notice it. That says a lot about our situation, doesn't it? If I hadn't been such a bitch this morning, this whole thing could have gone on for years. With Kurt getting your best and me getting all the shit. I wasn't thinking straight, Gil. I didn't mean to neglect you. It would never have gone on for years, I swear. It was just an affair, Cynthia assured him. That's an interesting observation, Cynthia. What is the shelf life of one of your novels? What's your average? A few months? A year? A few years? Asked I angrily. Gil, I was never unfaithful before Kurt. I'm not your average slut who jumps from bed to bed. That may sound strange now, but it's true, replied Cynthia. It was my first and last affair. We didn't have any time frame, but we both knew it was temporary. Nothing long-term. He'll understand when I tell him I'll never see him again. There you go again, Cynthia. You're painting me all bad. Did I say anything about ending the affair? What? What do you mean, Gil? You've got the pictures. It's over. It's over between us. I promise. Give me a chance to show you how much I love you, please, Cynthia shouted. I've given you over 20 years and I'm far from convinced of that, Cynthia, I replied. How long do you think that should last? I shall be lucky if I have 30 more years left. Gil, I don't know how long, a few months or a year, I hope. I'll do anything you ask. It may be a new beginning for us. It will be something new for me. Judging from the pictures, not much can be new to you. It might be new if you were doing it with me, but you're already a very experienced woman. It would be hard to find something new for you, wouldn't it? I'm sure you could teach me something you've learned yourself, couldn't you? I suggested. Cynthia looked at me. I could see that she was trying to figure out if I was serious or not, whether she was going to take me up on my offer. When she looked away, I realized that it would be unwise to suggest anything at this point. I was under the impression that you think you can talk and sleep your way back into my heart and life when, not if you get caught, Cynthia. You said it could take you up to a year to make it up to me. Am I that shallow? Do you think I'm that depraved? I can see that you have no idea what you've done to me. The problem is that I also see that revenge, or whatever it's called, will hurt a lot of people and won't be worth my efforts. I'm not going to go down that path. What are you going to do, Gil? I'm a few years away from retirement, and Kurt is more than a decade away. We need our jobs. I need you and the girls, and he loves his family too. Please save that shit for those who don't know the truth, Cynthia. You told me tonight that a man will remain faithful to the one he loves. I can only assume that you and Kurt, by your own admission, do not love your spouses or your families, I concluded. Gil. You have to believe that I love you with all my heart. That was one mistake in 20+ years. I'm only human, Cynthia exclaimed. You seem to think you should spend a few minutes in the penalty box and then get back in the game, I remarked. Are couples who remain faithful for life subhuman, or superhuman? What are we going to do, Gil? What are you going to do? Cynthia asked. Here's how it's going to be. If you can't accept my terms, we get an immediate divorce. The school board will find out about the affair between their 2 married teachers, and so will the families of both criminals, I began. Cynthia remained silent as I laid the cards on the table. You're having great sex, so keep on having an affair with your boyfriend, lover. I don't want to be the cause of an unsatisfied libido, at least not again. I've been guilty of this for over 20 years, and the guilt is overwhelming. You should see him twice a week like you used to. I just don't want you sleeping with him in my bed or in my house again. You don't have to tell him that I know what an asshole he is, and that he fucked you. That doesn't sound so bad, does it? I asked. Basically, you'll be doing the same thing you did before, except you won't be peeping and cheating. You'll be his mistress, whore, slut, slutty, dream girl, or whatever you think you are. You'll always keep me informed of where and when you sleep with him. In return, I'll help you keep your secret and not reveal your cheating to the world. Is that fair enough? I asked. You want me to keep seeing him? What kind of husband would go for that? Do you have weird sexual fantasies or something? Wondered Cynthia aloud. I'm sure I do, but they don't concern you anymore, so calm down. I smiled. I think you were planning on sleeping with this guy until I found out. Then you were expecting me to get shit-faced and then forgive you. I don't want things to go the way you expected. Even if it went better than you expected, it's not what you thought it would. That's my goal right now. So we have a deal? You won't tell Kurt what I know and you'll keep lying to him? And you'll never lie to me again? That's very strange, but I agree, Gil. To be honest, I have no choice. How long will this go on? Asked Cynthia. I'd say a year from today, or until I decide it's time for you to end it, whichever comes first, I replied. Okay, I will, but no one will ever believe it, Cynthia marveled. Thus began the great experiment. I thought it over carefully. I loved Cynthia unconditionally, and she had betrayed me cruelly. I needed to make her realize what she had done, and kicking her sorry ass out would have all kinds of repercussions for the children and even Kurt's family. I knew his parents, his wife, his kids, and ruining their lives was not a worthy goal. Besides, I always reserved the right to choose if it came to that. For a few days, Cynthia was very nervous around me. It was to be expected, though. I am a patient man. One evening, she told me that Kurt wanted to meet her on Saturday. His wife was taking the 3 kids to Grandma's for the weekend. She was coming back on Monday, so Kurt wasn't going to go with her. I think we can work something out, Cynthia. Maybe I can take the girls somewhere for the weekend. You can spend the night with him and fuck him to the fullest, I suggested. We'll tell the girls you have to work and can't come with us. See how much better it is than sneaking around. Sure, Gil, it'll work. Where are you taking the girls? Cynthia asked. I was thinking of going to Philadelphia. We'll go to a museum, see Independence Hall, have dinner at one of those great restaurants, and maybe go to some shows, I pondered. On Sunday, we'll do some more sightseeing and come home. Kurt should be out by then, don't you think? I wish you'd find a new way to formulate my meetings with Kurt, Gil, and why can't you do these things when I can do them too? Cynthia whined. They're all things I like to do. We're both adults, Cynthia. You slept with a guy. He has you. You get the idea. Don't be outraged at this point. I snapped back. I'm taking the girls to rid them of your hair. The weekend went more fun than I could have imagined. The girls were thrilled when I suggested the trip to them. By Sunday afternoon, I had a new appreciation for my daughters. They were growing up and I missed that. They had wit, humor, charm, and beauty. I decided to become a more meaningful part of their lives. I wanted there to always be a warm place in their hearts for me. When we returned, Cynthia was home. The girls spent the first 2 hours telling her about what they had seen and done. I allotted each one $100 to buy clothes. By the time they were done, that amount had grown to $200. That's when I began to realize the charm they possessed. I was just a hot commodity. They showed Cynthia their selection of clothes, and she was absolutely thrilled. I felt great settling into the chair and listening to the girls talk about how much fun they were having. We got into a familiar rhythm. On those evenings when Cynthia had to stay late at work, I watched movies with the girls or went to school events with them. I became a caring parent involved in my children's lives. I realized that I had missed some great moments and would have continued to do so if not for my affair with Cynthia. There was a twist to it. Another strange thing is that Cynthia and I started to get along better. She was always telling me about what she was doing, not just her affairs with Kurt. We discussed her work and mine, kids, parents, and even politics. I treated her the way a man should treat his wife at all times except in the bedroom, and who would know about that? Our relationship did grow stronger, even though our marriage was total crap. I was sitting in bed one night reading when Cynthia slipped between the sheets. She ran her hand over me. I reached down and pulled her hand away. "Would you like to make love, Gil? It's been a long time. You probably want it by now," Cynthia suggested. "Cynthia, I can't and don't want to compete with another man in my bed. He may not be here, but his presence is felt. I can feel him, and I'm sure you can too. I'd have to try to outdo him, and frankly you've already seen that I can't. You have a viral lover, so you're content. Please don't worry about me." "No, Gil, I never said he was better. I just said he's interesting and different. No one can be as good as you," she offered. "That sounds like nonsense, Cynthia. If I was better, you would never have tried Kurt the second time, or the first time for that matter. You would have missed having sex with me before I would have told you it had been 3 weeks. I continued, "Honestly, I don't think I could do it with you right now. I keep seeing you offering him your body in ways you never did for me. I've seen the pictures, remember? We have an arrangement that suits everyone, so let's not ruin it," I reasoned. I think Cynthia was surprised that I turned her down, but I really had no desire to get intimate with her. The very thought of it made me nauseous. For the next few days, Cynthia seemed quiet and reserved, but gradually she came to terms with the rejection. A couple weeks later, I was sitting in bed doing a crossword puzzle. Cynthia brought up the subject of her ongoing affair again. "Gil, I think he's starting to get tired of me. He started coming up with reasons why we won't be able to see each other as often. To tell you the truth, that makes me happy." "I miss you and the girls," Cynthia complained. "I'd rather you made love to me, Gil. In your arms I've always felt loved. With Kurt, I feel like a piece of meat, like I'm a wench with other parts. He only wants my body, not the rest of me." "That's not how you felt a few months ago when you got tired of me and got busy with Kurt," I reminded Cynthia. "Would you like me to help you find a new lover who will bring back that feeling of arousal?" "I have some ideas." "No, I never want to have sex with another man, only with you, Gil. The very thought of being with anyone else disgusts me," Cynthia replied. "Can I stop seeing Kurt? He won't mind and I can spend more time with you and the girls." "I don't know, Cynthia. The girls and I have a really good time. It wouldn't be nice if you suddenly stepped in and ruined it." I hesitated. "I'm not going to spoil anything, Gil. I'm their mother. I can take part in everything too. It's not unusual for both parents to be involved in their children's lives. I'll be very good to you in their presence, and in everyone else's presence, for that matter, I promise." "Please," Cynthia begged. "It's not that simple, Cynthia. If I let you stop seeing Kurt, it will result in a complete cessation of your sex life. You will have to be tested for every possible disease." "My tests have already come back negative," I said. "Have you been tested? Why? Do you think Kurt or his wife was infected by someone?" Cynthia worried. "Cynthia, how do I know anything about their sex life? I know that having sex with you meant that I basically exposed myself to everyone you, Kurt, or his wife ever had sex with. That leaves a lot of room for problems, at least in my book. Does she have a lover or lovers? Does he have more lovers than you? Do you have other lovers? You have lied to me and cheated on me. Can they do the same to each other?" Obviously Kurt can. I think that's unlikely, Gil. They're clean, intelligent people, Cynthia reasoned. Yeah, and the odds in Russian roulette are 1 in 6, but I still don't want to play. I've actually been doing pretty well lately. The girls and I have bonded, and my life, with the exception of one rather obvious area, is just fine. You're just going to have to lose more weight or get a new haircut. You know, all the things a woman does to entice a lover. You can do it. I patted Cynthia on the back as I spoke. Gil, the truth is, I'm tired of him. He just uses me like some kind of whore and walks away. He has no respect for me. He doesn't care if I'm in the mood or not. At times he even hurts me because he doesn't even try to prepare me to meet him, Cynthia revealed. Let's not forget to get you some key jelly, Cynthia. I'm not an insensitive monster. I want you to be comfortable. Gil, I'm trying to get him to stop this. That's another reason I want to end this stupid charade, Cynthia complained. I really don't get any pleasure out of it, even if it did look like the picture. Cynthia, this is all a bit belated. You should have thought it through when you decided to cheat and lie to me. Obviously, you didn't give much thought to the consequences of your actions. Now you can think about them. What you sow is what you reap, I reminded her. You do realize this is extortion or blackmail, don't you, Gil? Cynthia objected. It's a low act. I'm your wife. You should be fighting to keep me away from another man. Not insisting that I sleep with him, as you so politely put it. It's a form of blackmail, Cynthia, I admitted. However, I'm not going to let you lecture me on how a husband should behave, so don't you dare repeat that or your ass will be gone before you even finish the sentence. I spent 20 years trying to do everything a husband and father should do, and you fucked it up for me. You're the one who screwed up our marriage, and you certainly have no right to tell me how things should be in a marriage. Do you understand me? I think Cynthia was surprised by my temper. She was silent for a while, pondering my words. You're right, Gil. I apologize for what I said, but I apologize even more for the horrible situation I created. It's my fault, not yours. I know that, she sobbed. Things went on for about a week. One night as we were finishing dinner, Cynthia asked the girls to stay at the table after we finished eating. Girls, I've been having an affair. When I told you that I had to stay late at work, it was really to meet someone. I seriously jeopardized my marriage with your father. I want to apologize to him and to both of you. You all deserve better than I've been giving lately. If I could change things, I would, but I can't. It's over now, and I'm asking you to consider forgiving me, Cynthia finished. I didn't expect this. I was caught off guard. I think the girls were too. They sat there trying to digest what their mother had just told them. Then they both cried, quickly left their seats and ran off to their rooms. I just sat there, stunned. It's the only way to deal with blackmail, Gil. I realize that now. I'm tired of playing the fool. Everything you've been telling me for the last couple months is slowly getting to me. I told Kurt I was done with him for good. Funny thing is, he hardly cared. I didn't mean anything, nothing at all. But you know what? It's okay, because he was just a piece of meat to me, really. We were like a couple of bloody animals without the slightest bit of human intelligence. Cynthia wiped her eyes and continued. I know you can still report our actions to the school board and tell Kurt's family. It's up to you, but I'm done acting like a subhuman. I think that's the word I heard you use. With or without you, I will regain my self-respect, even if I lose everything else. Lately, I've been so worried about being sick that I haven't been able to sleep. I've made an appointment with the doctor for Friday. I did a very stupid thing that I will regret and pay for until the day I die. You have every right to hate me, destroy me, divorce me, and find a woman you can respect. That's up to you, too, Cynthia sobbed. I pray and even beg that you will find the strength to give me a chance to be a part of your life. But I will understand if you don't. I realize now how much I love you, and how good I've been, and what a terrible thing I've done. I don't have a plan for that, I replied. The girls are hurting right now, and we need to help them. My pain has dulled a bit, and I'm afraid that means my love for you has dulled too, Cynthia. I'm glad you're concerned about your health and will do whatever is necessary to make sure you're healthy. I can't say that everything will be all right. I doubt it very much. I know that, and it tears me apart to realize that this is all because of me, Gil, Cynthia replied tearfully. We'll just try to take our time and not do anything in anger or out of pain. We may not survive your betrayal, but your confession is a start. Did you know it would turn out this way? That I would risk everything to stop acting like a common whore? Cynthia asked. I hoped you'd get your pride back, but I didn't know if you could do it. It will be a long time before I believe you did, Cynthia, or believe anything you tell me if I have no other way to verify it. I just don't trust you. Maybe I never will. I walked over to the refrigerator and pulled out a beer while Cynthia sat quietly at the table, sobbing. Life had gotten complicated.